Seminole Campus Digitorium. We appreciate you being here this morning. My name is Charlie Justice. I have the privilege of serving as one of your Pinellas County Commissioners. I want to thank our SPC President, Dr. Williams, and our Seminole Provost, Mark Strickland, for their hospitality in hosting our event again this morning. I also want to recognize in the audience we have Pinellas Park Mayor Bradbury. Good morning, Mayor. And Largo Mayor, Mayor Brown. Good morning. We appreciate you being here as well. Again, welcome to the 2021 meeting of the Wastewater Stormwater Partnership Steering Committee. It's wonderful to have you here in person and online on Zoom as well. We want to welcome you to this beautiful campus again on behalf of the entire committee. Before we begin this morning's presentation, I want to give you a little background on where we have been and where we got to today. The Wastewater Stormwater Partnership was formed as a task force in 2016. The purpose was to bring together representatives of Pinellas County, our communities, and agency partners to collaborate in addressing our critical wastewater and stormwater infrastructure needs. The partnership is made up of the steering committee of elected officials and policymakers, and then the SMART folks, the technical working group, whose members include county and municipal experts in wastewater, as well as stormwater infrastructure. We want to thank you all for taking time to be part of this important collaborative effort. Out of the initial action plan developed in January of 2017, the partnership identified three primary goals for our wastewater and stormwater infrastructure. Those are avoiding and mitigating spills, increasing treatment capacity and system resiliency, and seeking opportunities to address the drainage issues that affect the sanitary sewer system. Members of our technical working group are here to provide updates about work that's been completed, work that's underway, as well as future plans to further these goals. We're fortunate today to have presenters with us, including Utilities Director for Pinellas County, Megan Ross, Public Works Director for the City of St. Pete Beach, Mike Clark, Public Works Director for the City of Safety Harbor, Renee Cooper, Assistant Director of Environmental Services for the City of Largo, Shelby Boscheman, Utilities Director for the City of Clearwater, Rich Gardner, Senior Manager of Water Resources for the City of St. Petersburg, Lisa Ray, and Pinellas County Stormwater Vegetation Division Director, Susan Gobel Chaining. Now I'll turn it over to Megan Ross for our first presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner Justice. I'm Megan Ross, the Utilities Director for Pinellas County, and I'd like to welcome you to the St. Petersburg College Seminole Campus on behalf of the Wastewater Stormwater Partnership's Technical Working Group. We are grateful to the St. Pete College administration, faculty, and students for their continuing support of the Wastewater Stormwater Partnership and our efforts to update the public about our infrastructure and environmental sustainability projects. To those from the community joining us virtually or in person, we're excited to share with you the many projects and programs the partnership has in place throughout the county to protect our most precious resource, water, and strengthen our infrastructure. You can learn more about the partnership at www.pinellascounty.org/partnership. Steering committee members, throughout the past couple years, there have been significant policy changes in the area of water resources. From the Clean Waterways Act of 2020 to the Reclaimed Water Bill of 2021, and the federal COVID relief funds with specific emphasis on funding for wastewater and water infrastructure. It is clear that water resources and the infrastructure that supports them has gained growing attention from federal, state, and local leaders. These policies will effectively transform the nature of wastewater systems for years to come. Because of the proactive work of the Wastewater Stormwater Partnership over the past few years, initiated by Commissioner Justice and the steering committee members here today, we are prepared for this transformation. As you will see here today, we have already started taking steps towards a more resilient and sustainable infrastructure plan for our wastewater and stormwater systems. While we still have much work to get done, I am pleased to say that we have the momentum and the leadership needed to face the challenges of today while planning for the infrastructure investments of the future. As you may know, this partnership was formed in 2017. After 4 years of collaboration, we are excited about the strength of the partnership and how we can continue to improve services for our community for years to come. During today's presentation, we will review the partnership's goals and action plan and give you an overview of some of our current projects and accomplishments. Following the presentation, both those participating in person and online will have an opportunity to ask questions of the panel or share comments. Submissions will be processed when the question and answer period begins, and questions can be added to the queue at any time. The Wastewater Stormwater Partnership identified 3 primary goals that we must address: avoiding and mitigating spills, overflows, and releases of sewage into the environment, particularly those that affect water bodies. Many of these events can be avoidable, and by collecting and leveraging the data from past occurrences, it is vital to avoid and mitigate future occurrences that are exacerbated by routine or severe weather events. Seeking opportunities to address drainage and stormwater issues that have an impact on our sewer systems. While these systems are not connected by design, wet weather events can lead to increased influence on one another, requiring a holistic approach to solving the issue. Increasing capacity and resiliency of our collective sewer system and wastewater treatment infrastructure. Because so many of the portions of the entire network are co-operated, owned, and or located, achievement of this goal is not possible without our partnership. Of the 24 municipalities within Pinellas County, 17 own or operate wastewater and or stormwater systems. This partnership allows members to collaborate regularly on solutions to reduce sanitary sewer overflows countywide. Together, we have a total of 13 wastewater treatment facilities and a combined treatment capacity of 155 million gallons per day. Nearly 1 million residents and businesses rely on these systems every day, in addition to the millions of more vacation visitors every year. Wastewater and stormwater infrastructure are a foundation on which our county thrives. These systems allow us to live in harmony with our natural environment by protecting our waterways, Tampa Bay, and the beaches. By doing so, we promote a robust economy and a beautiful destination enjoyed by our community and by millions of visitors every year. The work we do is truly a shared priority for all of us in Pinellas County. All members of the partnership have a vital role to play as environmental stewards, and we take great pride in fulfilling this role. Collaboration is the foundation of our partnership. Working group members share resources and knowledge in support of a 7-point strategic action plan aimed to further the program's goals. Performing inflow and infiltration studies, eliminating hydraulic bottlenecks, rehabilitation and replacement of infrastructure, stormwater drainage improvements, enhancing public dialogue, tracking, proposing, and implementing legislation or rules that impact these initiatives, and improving resource sharing and maximization, which is the foundation upon which our partnership can share resources across municipal boundaries for the benefit of all Pinellas County residents. Working group members from Pinellas County and the cities of St. Pete Beach, Safety Harbor, Largo, Clearwater, and St. Petersburg are here to update you on the work they're doing to keep our infrastructure strong and our water safe throughout Pinellas County. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our first presenter this morning, who's Mike Clark, Public Works Director for the City of St. Pete Beach.
I'm Mike Clark, and I have the privilege of being the Public Works Director for St. Pete Beach, which is currently the #1 beach in the nation, as rated by TripAdvisors.com. Yes, that was a shameless plug. Please come visit. Are we speaking at the podium? Okay, I'm moving now. And we're controlling? Okay. COVID-19, what more surprises can come? Let's see. All right, so the umbrella slide of all of the issues that were addressed, this project that I'm going to introduce today pretty much covers almost all of them. I certainly contributed to the number of SSOs that we were experiencing during fairly mundane storm events. It was surprising how little it took for St. Pete Beach to be overwhelmed in the sanitary sewer system. As we come out of our pump station number 2, there was a significant hydraulic bottleneck that was the location of the vast majority of our SSOs. The R&R, I actually would like to add a third R. In this case, what we did is we're actually reinforcing our existing capacity with this project I'm going to describe. There was a lot of public dialogue leading up to a legislative action by the City Commission to actually put a moratorium on all new connections to the sanitary sewer system, and that's been in place for over 3 years. And you can imagine the damper that has put on our commercial development. As you can see, St. Pete Beach, we're at the south end of the Pinellas County, and we're not very big, but we do enjoy being part of the county. So the sanitary sewer force main capacity project, about 5 years ago, when all of this was becoming fairly obvious, we had a problem. We commissioned a study and took a look at just what was going on with our sewer capacity system that was put in by the Long Key Authority in the late 1950s. It had certainly served its purpose, but it was certainly time for something else to happen. We had outgrown our capacity. So we went into, following that study, we went into a design. The recommendation was to, of course, increase our capacity, and the way to do that was to run a new force main pretty much up the backbone of the island, capturing the sewage from pump station number 3 at the south side of the island, which is on the right hand of the screen, and running up to our pump station number 1 on the left side of the screen where it discharges off the island to St. Petersburg. The $16 million construction project is going along very nicely, unless you're stuck in traffic on Gulf Boulevard because of the detours. The north part, the left side of the project, is complete. We commissioned it this week, so it is in place. And that is also where the SSOs manifested themselves during our storms. So as we enter into the beginning of the hurricane season, we are very, very confident that the system that had SSOs in the past, that is now in the past. And I predict that we probably will not have an SSO unless it's in the most extreme of circumstances. The southern portion is in progress right now. We're in the middle of the third and final directional drill pull. That will be concluded this week, and then we'll have to go ahead and finish the connections of the directional drill locations and then hook up to 4 new sanitary sewer lift stations that service the west side of the island, which is mostly the hotel district. And we expect that this project will finish up before the end of this year, and then we'll be off Gulf Boulevard to be restored and back to normal again. So it's been a great project, very disruptive, but patience is the key word, and we will get there soon. And that's all I have for this project today, and I'd like to introduce Renee Cooper, my friend from Safety Harbor, the Public Works Director.
Thanks, Mike. Renee Cooper, City of Safety Harbor, Public Works Director. I'm here today to talk about our inflow and infiltration study and the abatement that is currently ongoing. So we fit underneath this umbrella, of course, with the I&I study. Through the I&I study, we are alleviating any system hydraulic bottlenecks. Safety Harbor is up in the northeast portion of the county, right there pictured in pink. We're about 6 square miles, so we're little and compact, sitting there right off the east of Clearwater. So the City of Safety Harbor's inflow and infiltration study and abatement program was developed to address aging wastewater infrastructure and to protect the surrounding environment from sanitary sewer overflows. You all remember Hurricane Irma. During Hurricane Irma, we had quite a few overflows. So following that, we started into the inflow and infiltration study. Project goals were to address aging infrastructure, reduce wastewater flow to the Clearwater's Northeast Advanced Wastewater Treatment Facility, and to identify wet weather inflow and to reduce groundwater infiltration. So the City of Safety Harbor issued a request for qualifications for inflow and groundwater infiltration abatement program in April of 2018. That seems like a long while ago, but it does take some time. Following a selection and review process, McKim & Creed was awarded the study and the project. Notice to proceed was issued July 2018. Field monitoring was completed in April of 2019, and the results of the monitoring analysis qualified certain areas of the city for inclusion in source investigations. Source investigations included smoke testing, dye testing, manhole inspections, night flow isolations, and CCTV inspections. Work was completed by October of 2019, and McKim & Creed issued their final report with recommendations in February of 2020. So the city issued a purchase order in September of 2020 to begin the abatement process of the gravity sewer mains utilizing pipelining. We also included areas of deteriorated stormwater piping in the lining contract. The contractor began work in February of 2021. The current cycle of work will line over 25,000 lineal feet of pipe, complete 80 lateral liners, and over 1,700 lineal feet of pipe replacement. We look forward to comparing our monthly flow totals once this work is complete in order to see the true impact of the lining program. So what's next? The city's current focus is for completion of lining in Priority 1 areas prior to moving on to 2 and 3 areas. We expect to be into the Priority 3 areas in fiscal year 23, so this is a long-term program. Then we'll be able to analyze the post-lining flow data. So not only do we have a contractor, but we have city staff addressing these issues as well. City staff spent time delivering notices door to door to homeowners regarding issues that were found during the smoke testing and dye testing. The majority of issues found were missing cleanout caps, small cracks or roots in the homeowner's laterals, or separations and joints of the homeowner's sewer lines. We were able to find and address a few of the wastewater stormwater cross connections as well. City staff also installed manhole inserts in manholes in low-lying areas or within roadways or yards that experience localized flooding. These inserts mitigate inflow of stormwater during high rain events. City staff also installed locking cleanout caps on cleanouts within the right-of-way. Homeowners like to remove those cleanouts during flooding events to alleviate yard flooding. During smoke testing, it was discovered that many inflow issues were related to these missing cleanout caps. We are hopeful that all of these strategies will mitigate any future spills, improve the integrity of our stormwater system, and allow for an increased capacity and decrease of inflow and infiltration. Our next presenter is Shelby Beauchemin, Assistant Director of Environmental Services for the City of Largo.
Thank you, Renee, and good morning, everyone. I'm Shelby Beauchemin, Assistant Director of Environmental Services, which is our wastewater department in Largo. Today, I will be discussing a sanitary sewer system hydraulic bottleneck repair, and we'll also be giving a preview of our next project. The hydraulic bottleneck repair supports 3 of the elements of the Wastewater Stormwater Partnership Action Plan. The city has an aggressive inflow and infiltration study and abatement program that works on a continuous cycle. We also tackle hydraulic bottlenecks as they present themselves during storm events and II studies, and we use this information to complete repair and rehabilitation of the system. The city is shown in pink on the map. Our wastewater collection and treatment system serves over 100,000 people in the city of Largo and also small portions of St. Petersburg, Clearwater, and Pinellas Park. Today we've chosen to highlight Lift Station 20 Wilcox Road improvements. With assistance from McKim & Creed, We completed an II evaluation and identified hydraulically limited pipes that were causing SSOs, or sanitary sewer overflows. Improvements to the area included extending the force main and increasing pipe size. By extending the force main approximately 500 feet, we eliminated a discharge to a shallow manhole, which was causing sanitary sewer overflows during heavy rain events. The extension of the force main and upsizing of approximately 1,400 feet of gravity pipe started in 2019 and was completed in fiscal year 20 with an approximate cost of $2.4 million. And our next project, which I hope to be talking about next year, is in tidally influenced areas of our collection system. Both of the basins pictured are currently undergoing an II evaluation for $350,000. Infiltration is high groundwater entering the sewer system through pipe defects such as cracks and offset joints. And groundwater can fluctuate with the tides, which is why we're focusing on these two basins. In addition to II, we're targeting these two basins for resilience and relocating both lift stations out of the floodplain. I look forward to updating you on our progress next year. And on behalf of Environmental Services and Engineering for the City of Largo, I'd like to thank our mayor, commission, city administration, and the ratepayers for the continued support of our infrastructure improvements. Our next presenter is Rich Gardner, Public Utilities Director for the City of Clearwater.
Thanks, Shelby. Good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about our Smart Cover pilot program. The Smart Cover system helps us reduce bottlenecks by alerting us to blockages building up in our sewer system. For a little background, our utility provides wastewater collection, transport, treatment, and disposal services for over 115,000 customers who reside in the teal highlighted portion of this map. We also treat the wastewater generated by the City of Safety Harbor. Our system consists of approximately 350 miles of piping, 8,000 manholes, 78 lift stations, 3 water reclamation facilities, and 3 reclaimed water storage tanks and booster stations. The Smart Cover technology provides a means of remotely monitoring key manhole water levels in real time. If a sewer system backup is underway due to debris or excessive storm flow, the Smart Cover will alert staff. Staff may then react to clear the blockage and prevent sanitary sewer overflows or flooding of customers' homes. Data is recorded will be used to identify hotspots that require additional investigation and corresponding action. We started with 17 units and will expand the system over time if the pilot proves to be successful. The installation of each Smart Cover takes approximately 1 to 2 hours. The work consists of preparing the underside of the manhole to mount the sensor, data receiver, transmitter, and satellite antenna. Positioning the equipment correctly in the manhole to obtain accurate level data, resetting the cover, and then sending the GPS location data to the Smart Cover data center. The system is then operational. Computer, internet browser, or smartphone apps are used to access the data remotely. The Smart Covers allow the operator to monitor critical manhole water levels in real time. Sanitary sewer overflows can be anticipated, then staff may clean the sewer proactively. Data trending can be utilized to identify areas of the sewer system that need additional investigation. Sewer system maintenance schedules can be fine-tuned based on the trend data. Real-time operating and trend data will be utilized to complete regulatory reports as well. The smart covers enable the sewer system operators and engineers to proactively prevent sanitary sewer overflows and conduct operational maintenance and upgrade planning more efficiently. The smart covers provide the data necessary to accurately prepare regulatory reports. The graphic on this slide shows the location of our smart covers. The green circles are the smart covers. The blue teardrops are rain gauges, and there's some blue squares there. Those are smart covers that need attention. Something's going wrong with the signal, so it alerts us, and we can go and do whatever maintenance is required for that cover. Smart covers allow sewer system operators and engineers to proactively prevent sanitary sewer overflows and conduct operational maintenance and upgrade planning more efficiently. The covers provide data necessary to accurately prepare regulatory reports as well. In fact, since we've installed the smart covers in April, we've had 9 alarms that allow us to clear blockages before they created sanitary sewer overflows or sewer backups into customers' homes. The next presenter is Lisa Ray, Senior Manager of Water Resources for the City of St. Pete.
Thank you, Rich. My name is Lisa Ray. I'm the Senior Water Resources Manager for the City of St. Pete, and I'm in charge of the Wastewater Division. So today I'm going to give you an overview of our Wastewater Capital Improvement Plan. And really, when we're looking at our Wastewater Capital Improvement Plan, we're hitting the 3 items on the left of the umbrella for the most part. But we also touch on public dialogue and legislation. Now, if you probably remember from Megan's comments earlier, during Tropical Storm Hermine, we had a lot of rain and a lot of system impacts. Well, county-wide, our treatment capacity is 150 million gallons per day, or 55 million gallons per day. The volume of water that the City of St. Pete saw during that storm is equal to that amount, 155 million gallons in one day. So it was a tremendous amount of water that came into our system in that event. Now, just to tell you a little bit about our system, St. Pete is the larger blue area on the bottom of the county. We are the 5th most populous city in the state of Florida, 2nd largest in the Tampa Bay area, and the area is approximately 137 square miles. So we're a pretty large area, and we have a lot of people. In order to serve these people, we have 887 miles of sanitary sewer. We have 82 lift stations and 62 miles of force main that convey the wastewater to our 3 water reclamation facilities, where this wastewater is treated, reused, and disposed of, depending on the situation and the time of the year. Right now, almost all of the water is going to reuse. Very little is being disposed of because it has been so hot and dry, as all of you know. Now, what does that lead us to? We have multiple projects going on at all times. Some of them are in the collection system, some of them are at the plants, lift stations, and the first couple that I'm going to talk about are specific projects. The first one is a wastewater lift station and force main, brand new, that is being designed and constructed to address hydraulic deficiency within our system during heavy rain events. This will allow us to move 3.5 million gallons of wastewater from the southwest basin, one of our wastewater treatment plant basins, to the northwest basin. We also have the capability through the same force main, but using an existing lift station, of transferring flow the opposite direction. This will allow us to shift the flow between the different plants depending on the flows that are going into the facility. In that way, improving our ability to treat the wastewater that's coming in and reducing the potential for overflows, which is a key part of this. This is an area that did have overflows during that storm. It is a design-build project, and it was awarded to Archer Western in March of 2021, and we anticipate construction being completed by June of 2022 in time for next year's rainy season. So we're looking forward to having that available to us. The next project also relates to the prior one, and this is the Pasadena Force Main. The Pasadena Force Main is a rehabilitation and replacement project. This force main is used to take the flow from our master lift station, where the new wastewater force main will be coming into. We also receive flow from some of our neighboring communities in this location, and it sends it to our northwest facility. The project is about to go out to bid. We anticipate construction starting by the first quarter of fiscal year 22 and an anticipated cost of $7 million. The following item, now we're getting into some higher level programmatic type of projects. They're not specific projects at this point. We have a lot of pipe, whether it's the gravity sewer main, the forest mains, water mains, reclaimed water mains. There's a lot of pipe in the ground out there. And it ages, and over time the efficiency goes down. You start having problems with the materials degrading or with the conditions of the soils impacting the pipe. And we need to come up with a system that allows us to proactively assess the condition of the pipe before there's a failure, before we have problems that impact our residents and impact the environment as a whole. And the graph that you see here is an assessment that was done on our force mains. It was a desktop assessment, and now what we need to do is take this a step farther. You can look at the records and the break history. However, it doesn't give you the whole story. That can be an isolated incident. So we have to start doing some physical assessments on our force mains. We need to start looking at the actual condition of the pipe in the ground and prioritizing the planning. So that's something we're doing there. We're doing the same when it comes to our gravity system, our water system, and our reclaim system, because all of our infrastructure is old. We have a lot of old systems out there, and we need to keep them operational for the next 50 years for the residents that are going to be following us in this beautiful location. Another one, so we have the pipes. When it comes to the wastewater side, from the pipes, it usually goes to the lift station where it's pumped to the wastewater treatment plants. This year, we're going to have 5 different lift stations that are going to be going out to bid for design, for construction. Design has been completed, and we're looking at about $10 million in work. All of these projects are addressing rehabilitation and repair. They're also looking at capacity. Every time we do a major upgrade on a lift station, we're looking at our future capacity needs and addressing those as much as possible. We're also looking at resiliency, sea level rise. If it's located near the coast, where are the electrical panels? Do those need to be raised? What other improvements need to be made in order to handle those future conditions? And we have just completed an overall prioritization of all of the lift stations throughout our city so that we can make sure that we address the most critical location first. And from that, we will be developing our specific projects for the specific lift stations that need additional attention in the years to come. And the last one is our water reclamation facility. That's where the wastewater ends up. We had a lot of work done at our Southwest facility following the storms, which increased our capacity at that facility so we can handle upwards of 75 million gallons per day hydraulically in a peak event. That is what allows us to be able to handle 157 million gallons per day on a hydraulic event, system-wide. And it's spread out across our 3 different plants. Right now, we have major projects going on at 2 of the plants, the Northwest facility and the Northeast. The Northwest is having a new influent pump station installed with a new headworks, as well as odor control and 2 additional reject storage tanks. In the event that the treatment plant is not meeting reclaimed water standards, the water is diverted to the reject tank for future treatment when the flows subside and we're able to get it through the plant safely. At the Northeast facility, we're having electrical upgrades done. The systems there are from the 50s, 60s. We have switchgear and equipment that you can't find parts for anymore, and so we're having to construct those as needed So we're doing a full upgrade on all of the electrical. At the same time that we're doing that, we are looking at the resiliency of it as well. What is this impact going to be with our future needs, looking forward, not just backwards? And those projects alone are going to be upwards of $70 million between the two plants. We are right now in the process of doing RFQs, requests for qualifications for consulting firms to assist us with two separate projects. One of them is the operation and maintenance buildings for all three of our facilities. At this point, two of our facilities are located right next to the coast, impacted by surge if there were a major storm, potential for flooding, and the operations building sits right at ground level. And yet we ask our operational staff to stay there during storm events. So we need to harden the locations. We need to improve the safety for our staff so that they can feel comfortable staying at the facility in the case of a heavy storm, a major tropical storm, or, God forbid, a Cat 5 hurricane, because we need them to operate those facilities. The water doesn't stop coming in, and if anything, the flows increase in those events. And then the other one is the Northeast Water Reclamation Facility Plan. We just completed our Integrated Water Resources Master Plan, provided an overview for all of our systems citywide, and we need to now establish the plan forward for each of the locations, and that's the intent behind this facility plan, is to take the recommendations from the master plan and get down into the details. How exactly are we going to do it? What size do the basins need to be, the pumps, and so on. And I appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today. There's a lot of great information and a lot of important work being done in the county. And I'd like to present the next presenter, which is Susan Gobel Canning. She's the Stormwater Vegetation Division Director for Pinellas County Public Works.
Good morning, everyone. This is the stormwater drainage improvements element of the partnership. The key goal for stormwater component is the reduction of inflows into the wastewater network. We do this by looking for opportunities where constructing drainage improvements would also provide benefits to the wastewater collection system. So for example, if we reduce the amount and duration of flooding over manholes, or if we remove a pump station from the flood zone, we can potentially reduce the volume of stormwater entering the wastewater system. Our infrastructure covers the unincorporated areas throughout the county. Our watersheds often merge with the cities, and we try to take a comprehensive approach to managing stormwater. Pinellas County stormwater infrastructure includes over 800 miles of pipe, 300 miles of open conveyance, and 500 permitted facilities. Pinellas County is currently performing a vulnerability analysis to better understand the impacts of sea level rise for the next century. Even today, some areas of the county regularly experience flooding under most extreme high tide events. This is expected to get worse and more widespread as sea levels rise. The study focuses on tide events, storm surge, and rainfall. It looks at several scenarios of different intensities for present day, 2040, 2070, and 2100. The study looks at the vulnerability of assets, including transportation, stormwater, wastewater, water, natural gas, and electricity. The study will help the county plan for future conditions as it can mitigate for those adverse impacts. The goal is to identify assets at the greatest risk based on costs to repair and consequences of lost service to communities, and develop a mitigation strategy. This map is one example from the study that shows current and future flooding under a medium intensity flooding scenario. Most scenarios have been developed for the vulnerability study. The next steps include assessing the cost of damage, prioritizing assets by cost and impact, and develop mitigation strategies. Pinellas County also performs ongoing updates to our watershed management plans, which analyze each drainage basin and provides options to mitigate the impacts. The vulnerability study and water management plans create a comprehensive understanding of long-term flood risk and provide a foundation for better decision-making. These decisions are used to create projects and construct improvements. Many of these projects can reduce the volume of stormwater that enters the wastewater systems. Options may include installing check valves to stop the backflow of seawater onto the road, or elevating seawalls, elevating structures, or reseeding. Pinellas County recently Pinellas County recently purchased 40 acres of open space for the purpose of improving water quality. Important elements of the plan include dry ponds and wet ponds while preserving as many healthy native trees as possible. The project plans to include passive recreation opportunities and enhance native habitat. Initial cleanup began in February 2020. County staff partnered with the contractor, and we cleaned the Bay Point stormwater and conservation area, which included mowing, vegetation removal, and erosion repair. The project is currently under design, and construction is anticipated for 2024. Our final presenter is Pinellas County Utilities Director, Megan Ross.
Thank you so much, Susan. Pinellas County Utilities has recently initiated a wastewater collection system program to further the partnership's goals of minimizing spills, addressing drainage issues, and increasing system capacity. While Pinellas County Utilities has been making significant progress in aligning our capital improvement program to meet the partnership's goals of minimizing spills and drainage issues, the program will expedite and integrate multiple components in our collection system to complete both short and long-term infrastructure improvements. A primary focus of the improvements is to meet these three goals while also incorporating a funding strategy and a program for septic to sewer conversion. This program touches on many of our action plan items, including inflow and infiltration studies, eliminating hydraulic bottlenecks, system rehabilitation and replacement, enhancing public dialogue, proposing and implementing legislation, and improving resource sharing and maximization. This project will impact customers throughout Pinellas County, both in unincorporated areas as well as the cities that we provide services to. A significant portion of the program will include public outreach to drive focus towards the importance of our community's infrastructure and the economic vitality of Pinellas County. The importance of wastewater infrastructure is not only a public health matter, but also an environmental one, particularly water quality through protecting our ecosystems and natural environment. I would like to share with you a brief animated video we developed as part of the public outreach strategy for this project. It demonstrates how damaged private laterals can lead to increased inflow and infiltration, which contributes to sanitary sewer overflows in the system. Now let's play the video.
A common threat to everyone's water quality is inflow and infiltration, also known as I&I. Let's start with how sewer systems actually function. Each homeowner resides on the private side of any public sewer system utility. When you flush your toilet, take a shower, or wash your dishes, you create wastewater which flows from your home into a pipe called a private lateral. This private lateral connects to the public sewer system at the edge of your property and is maintained by your city or county. Wastewater flows from the public sewer system to a treatment facility designed to handle a specific volume where pollutants and bacteria are removed. When rainwater falls, it's known as stormwater. Stormwater percolates into the soil, increasing groundwater level as well as storm drain levels in the street. This stormwater eventually flows into creeks, lakes, Tampa Bay, and even the Gulf of Mexico, just as it's designed to do. Stormwater and wastewater flow into separate systems and should never be mixed together. So, what about I&I? I&I happens when a private lateral breaks or is damaged by tree roots or old age, which allows the groundwater table to then flow into the pipe, also known as infiltration. High levels of I&I in the public and private wastewater collection system often lead to sanitary sewer overflows, or SSOs, which again threaten our overall water quality. It's alarming to learn that up to 70% of stormwater entering the sewer system is due to damaged laterals. Though your indoor plumbing may be working fine, your aging lateral underground can be a different story. In areas with high groundwater tables, sealing the public system portion may not be enough. Thus, most private lateral portions need to also be repaired to reduce infiltration into the system. With wastewater being harmful to human health and the environment, homeowners should have their private lateral inspected, repaired, or replaced by a licensed plumber to keep it functioning properly. Keeping your sewer pipes healthy will keep Tampa Bay healthy too. For more information, visit the Pinellas County Utilities website.
So as you can see, we're looking at really focusing on public outreach as we move forward with some of the policy development and other items we'll talk about in a minute. So the wastewater collection system program has developed a 4-part strategy to reduce and eliminate sanitary sewer overflows in the system, as shown here. Step 1 is focused on reducing inflow and infiltration in the collection system through flow monitoring and targeted pipe and manhole rehabilitation and pipelining projects. There are 15 scheduled lining projects in the current $358 million capital improvement plan, and we hope to accelerate these projects quickly to eliminate sanitary sewer overflows. Step 2 will be to address capacity limitations identified in the previous studies within the collection system and the South Cross Bayou Water Reclamation Facility. Projects currently ongoing, like the Headworks project underway at South Cross Bayou, will expand capacity to handle higher peak flows coming into the plant, as well as eliminating hydraulic bottlenecks at the facility. Step 3 will prioritize capital improvement projects to ensure we complete the right projects at the right time. This includes confirming short-term needs while working towards a long-term plan. A multi-year rate analysis and other potential funding options will support the plan so we can implement projects aggressively. And finally, because the private side of the system should receive the same rigorous review and attention as the public side, Step 4 includes developing effective policy approaches for the private systems in the county, including private collection systems, private pump stations, and private laterals. Overall, this formula will yield a successful sanitary sewer overflow reduction and elimination program that enhances resiliency and sustainability throughout the county. A key component of the strategic action plan initiated by the Wastewater Stormwater Partnership is the development of policies to address the portion of our sewer system that resides within our customers' private property, which we call the private sewer laterals. One of the goals of this program is to be able to work aggressively in parallel on both the public side of the wastewater system and the private side of the wastewater system to achieve a more rapid implementation of these sewer overflow reduction strategies. Research of utility systems across the country and locally identified 4 viable options for private sewer lateral policies. These options were presented to the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners on May 6th at a work session. The objective of that work session was to gain feedback on any or all of these options with the goal of moving towards the adoption of a policy. The first option is a rebate. If implemented, this is how the county could provide funding for inspection and/or corrective action of the private lateral by the property owner. For example, if you're a homeowner and have a defective lateral and you get it repaired, you could apply for a rebate to get reimbursed for a specific percentage of that work. The second is a point of sale option. This involves inspection of the private lateral as part of the property sale process. For example, if you're buying a home, this lateral inspection allows the home buyer to understand the condition of the lateral prior to closing and can require the lateral to be repaired. The third option is permitting. This is when there are sewer capacity-related improvements requiring a building permit that prompts inspection and corrective action if needed. As an example, if the property owner is adding a bathroom or other building improvements requiring a permit application, an inspection of the lateral may be required. It is incredible to learn that the current Florida Building Code, which went into effect in 2002, has very clear testing requirements for newly installed laterals. However, there are no inspection or testing requirements after the lateral is installed. Additionally, for laterals installed prior to the adoption of the Florida Building Code, there is no mechanism for inspection or corrective action on those homes and buildings that could have been built with substandard materials many years ago, such as Orangeburg pipe. So the driver behind this option would be to provide a mechanism for those laterals to be inspected as part of all of the redevelopment going on throughout the county. And the final option is a find and fix option. This option provides a system to identify defective laterals for repair in targeted areas within our sewer system. Specifically, if Pinellas County Utilities is identifying areas with high inflow and infiltration in the system, we will incorporate inspection and repair of private laterals into that project. I'd also like to mention that these policies can work individually or in tandem to address the concern of inflow and infiltration from privately owned sanitary sewer sources. We can combine the rebate option with the permitting option, for example, so homeowners can get a rebate when they initiate the work. These combined efforts underscore the partnership's shared priority for water resource protection. As I stated earlier, these private lateral policy options were presented to the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners on May 6th, and there was some direction given to explore some of these options in greater detail. We'll be returning to the board later this year to provide more specific policy and program information for consideration. As part of our broader efforts to improve water quality in the Tampa Bay area, the Tampa Bay Estuary Program and their partners are rolling out a social marketing campaign this summer to encourage homeowners to voluntarily repair or replace failing private sewer lateral lines. The campaign is jointly funded through the Pinellas County Wastewater Stormwater Partnership and a grant from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. The campaign is informed by rigorous social science, including stakeholder interviews and a homeowner focus group. Today, I'd like to share some of the key behavioral insights that were gained. First, there is a core knowledge gap. Lateral sewer lines are often out of sight, out of mind. Visuals are extremely important for helping homeowners understand what a lateral sewer line is, where it is located, and that it is their responsibility to maintain it. Cost, disruption, and fear of the unknown are all barriers for voluntary lateral sewer line repair or replacement. Buying a home or facing a sewer backup are both critical entry points when homeowners are more open to repair and replacement messaging. Professional intermediaries like home inspectors, plumbers, and sometimes realtors can play a very important role as trusted sources of messaging. And finally, sanitary sewer overflows are still top of mind for many of our local residents, which means communications emphasizing homeowner responsibility for pollution from their lateral lines could potentially spark some anger and pushback. These findings can be complementary and effective if applied strategically. For example, rebates are an important tool to reduce cost barriers. They can be highly motivating for homeowners, especially when paired with messages emphasizing loss aversion and fear of unexpected expenses. The Tampa Bay Estuary Program's social marketing campaign is focused on providing a greater sense of control by emphasizing benefits of proactive measures during triggering events, simplifying the process, and making the options for replacement and repair clear and easy to encourage more widespread adoption. Keep in mind this approach is being taken because rebates are currently not uniformly available throughout the Tampa Bay watershed at this point in time. so the desired behaviors will largely be voluntary. These research findings are extremely useful to our partnership and to our board members when considering different policy options to address the community's infrastructure in an effort to maintain our shared commitment to improving water quality. So this concludes our project presentation. I'd like to thank everyone in attendance and participating virtually. For those attending today's presentation in person, please be sure to stop by our display as you leave for additional information and resources from our education and outreach team, Shay and Christine. The panel will now answer questions and hear comments from the audience. And if you joined us in person, you may ask questions from the podium located up front here. And virtual audience members can type their question into the Q&A chat box located at the bottom of their screen at any time, or of course they can click the raise hand button to ask questions verbally. That button is also at the bottom of your screen as shown on this slide. If you're calling in, you can press *9 on your phone. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions. I'd now like to welcome Commissioner Justice to the podium to moderate the question and answer portion of the presentation.
Thank you very much, Megan, and thank you to all our presenters. Can we have a round of applause for our presenters this morning. As you can see, a lot of work has been done on the front lines, behind the scenes, as we recovered from those years where this was front page news every single day. Before we open up to the general public, I wanted to see if we had any representatives from our cities or municipal partners that had a question. Mayor, come on up.
I'm just going to bend down. As you all know, the city of Largo, you probably all know, the city of Largo puts a portion, up to half of our treated wastewater into Old Tampa Bay right now. The future is going to be different than that. We're not sure how it's going to be different than that, but our goal is to have a zero next to the amount of water that we're putting into Old Tampa Bay, both because it's our desire and we may be required to shortly. So my question is there any regional collaboration plan? It was interesting to me this morning or yesterday, I saw that the county is limiting reclaimed water to go into people's yards and limiting the amount of days that people can water using reclaimed water, when we've got about 12 million gallons that we'd love to go in yards. So is there a future plan for collaboration to assist systems like ours that have a real need for a place to put treated wastewater? And anybody can answer that.
Megan?
Sure, so that's a great question. And as a lot of us know on the stage, reclaimed water availability can be difficult because we have plenty of reclaimed water in the summer wet season months, and then in the dry season we experience a sort of drought of reclaimed water. So with the advent of this reclaimed water bill that was passed this year, which is requiring essentially the elimination of surface water discharge with very few exceptions, I think regional collaboration would be important to address that issue. All of us who have surface water discharge are required to submit a plan to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection by November of this year. So I think when we see those plans and we see who's impacted and who is getting an exemption or not getting exemption, I think we'll really be able to collaborate a little bit more and to better use those resources regionally. So I think this partnership, though, is a great start to doing that because we have all of the key players and we've already formed that network and that collaborative environment where we can make those things happen. So I appreciate the question.
All right, now we'll invite anyone from the audience here. If you have a question for one of our presenters, if you'd introduce yourself and ask your question.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, panel. My name is David Ballard Geddes Jr. I live on Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. I have somewhat of a wordy question here. Based on section 1.13 of Maloney's Water Code, published in 1972. Today's current actions are based on what I feel proactive political inadequacies and past neglect to formulate what's being conducted today. Unfortunately, this public policy and as based on home rule charter, these interlocal agreements will involve a interlocal transfer of functions and powers out of section 2.04Q of home rule charter. This development of such will subject me as a homeowner to a third party development practice, which will essentially come after the equity in my home through some sort of variance that's been developed in the past regarding, reclaimed water applications. I do feel as though, based on Senator Burgess's Senate Bill 1058, the wording in that bill does subject our homes to third-party private levies. And the homeowner really won't be revealed to this charge until they go to sell their home and do a title search and realize at that point someone had reached into the equity of their home and pickpocketed them for such lateral developments. I believe there's a statute 817.034, which recognizes criminality schemes and ongoing and willful intent to proliferate misrepresentations throughout the United States as being criminal in nature. Should this development regarding stormwater pumping into water vaults underneath our driveways, which is soon to be legislated, and these sewer laterals as an initial charge do promulgate, I feel as though we have a problem systematic through our local governments as a grassroots, somewhat of a usurpation of civilian properties and liberties that needs to be addressed now. If we're going to have water complications, and we are, we need to table these things as to where we're going to fund these projects from, honestly and openly, and do that now, so the civilian population can be ready. And maybe we don't quite understand where you're coming from and where you're going to. And without that being told up front, we will have problems. So thank you for allowing me to share my viewpoints.
Thank you, David. I don't see anyone jumping up to respond, so we'll just take that as input. Further questions from the audience? If not, do we have folks online?
Yes, we have questions from our online audience. So the first question is, to eliminate all wastewater discharges to surface waters, what infrastructure upgrades are needed and what is the schedule to complete them?
All right, who would like to take a shot?
Okay, I'll jump in. So I think every utility system and wastewater system are going to have to evaluate the individual operational needs of their respective systems. Not all wastewater systems have surface water discharge. So the ones that do are going to have to look at the bill and understand what are the requirements and what are some of the exceptions, and then submit a plan to meet the intent of that bill. So we're going to be working closely with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection on that to guide us towards the implementation of those requirements. So there's different options. There are expanding reclaimed water that will, like I said earlier, will require significant storage capabilities because right now reclaimed water is somewhat limited. We're pumping out all the reclaimed water we have, but in the wet season we have plenty of reclaimed water. So looking at storage options is one alternative to that. I know that currently the FDEP is developing rules for utilizing reclaimed water for potable water use indirectly, and those rules are being developed. That was part of the Clean Waterways Act of last year. So I know some utilities across the state are also evaluating utilizing reclaimed water for those purposes. I don't know if anyone else had anything to add to that.
I'll go ahead and, is this on? Yeah, I'll go ahead and add something to that. The city of St. Petersburg does not have surface water discharge, and the infrastructure that will be required for others to get to that point is going to depend on their system, but one of the most common ways of doing that is to use deep injection well. Those can be very costly to build, and then you also have the piping and the construction associated with it. You have to drill down over 1,000 feet in many cases in order to get to an appropriate aquifer, because you need to be well below any drinking water aquifer. So I would see that being an investment, one option that will be looked at by many municipalities, because as Megan has said, our reclaimed water systems can definitely be expanded, and at this time of the year, we can easily send our reclaimed water out, and if we have the interconnects between our different locations and our different municipalities, we can maximize that. However, in the rainy season, when it's raining on people's yards, they're not going to be using the reclaimed water, and yet we still have the wastewater coming in. So that's where the injection well is one option for disposing of it that is not a surface water discharge.
Thank you, Ms. Ray.
In the city of Largo, we are also looking at increasing our reclaimed water usage, of course, and trying to educate the consumers that are directly next to a reclaimed water pipe but have not hooked up yet. So that's one of our strategies, but we're open to many. Aquifer storage and recovery is one of the other, similar to the deep well injection. That's a not as deep of a well, but it can be pulled out later for beneficial use for drinking water, hopefully. So there are multiple pronged approaches I'm sure we're all looking at before November.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gardner?
We're looking at a number of options as well. The increased reclaimed water usage is obvious. I&I reduction, the less water we have to treat, the less reclaim we create. So if we can tighten up our sewers, that will help us. And also, Clearwater's kind of lucky in that we have on the shelf our groundwater reclamation plant, which is designed to take basically take reclaimed water, treat it further, and then inject it into the aquifer to help us all. So.
Thank you.
Part of the question that struck me was sort of what are we doing about it? What are we planning for? And that's kind of exactly what we're doing right now here today with this forum. And even though there's only a few of us on the stage, there are triple the number of us as part of this organization that we continue to collaborate with. And so the professionals across the county and all of the cities, that's exactly what we're doing, is we're collaborating to find these solutions to these challenges that we face.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Do we have other questions? Oh, okay. We have in person. If you introduce yourself and ask your question.
My name is Maya Burke. I'm the Assistant Director of the Tampa Bay Estuary Program, and I am very encouraged to hear you all discussing your plans for how to deal with reclaimed water as a potential solution to remove surface water discharges. As you all know, nitrogen is the primary pollutant to Tampa Bay, and it's very important that as we look at new strategies to deal with surface water discharges, as we move to potentially enhancing reclaimed water throughout the region, it'll be important to make sure that that wastewater is treated to advanced wastewater treatment standards so that we're not just distributing nutrient loads throughout the watershed, and I wanted to know if you all are considering that in your approaches.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start with that, because the city of St. Pete, since we do not have a surface water discharge, we are not treating to AWT standards, which reduces nitrogen to 3 or less milligrams per liter. However, as part of our Integrated Water Resources Master Plan that I mentioned during my presentation, and as an initiative within our city in order to be able to expand the reclaimed water while protecting the bay, we are looking at and planning for nutrient removal at our wastewater treatment plants. We do have 3 plants. Because it is going to be a major upgrade at each facility, we'll be doing it 1 plant at a time. The first one will be the Northeast Water Reclamation Facility, which, as I mentioned in my presentation, we have our facility plan out right now for selection of a consultant to assist us with that. So that is definitely within our consideration when it comes to expanding the reclaimed water system and continuing to protect the bay.
I can add to that. No, just taking my mic a little while. In Largo, we have advanced waste treatments. The only difference between our reclaimed water and our surface water discharge is that reclaim is chlorinated and surface water discharge is dechlorinated.
Yeah, and I just wanted to comment, at Pinellas County, we have 2 wastewater treatment plants, and our South Cross Bayou plant does meet advanced wastewater treatment standards. Our North facility, the Dunn facility, it, for the most part, meets those standards, although it's not permitted or required to. It's 100% beneficial reuse up there, but 99.9% of the time, because it's a very rigorous treatment process, it does meet those advanced standards.
All right, next question.
Next question coming from our online audience. Since they say certain kinds of plastics don't break down for a very long time, can we make pipes from recyclable plastics, hence no degradation underground?
Who would like to take that one?
Well, that's a great question.
It really is. We do use plastic in our pipes, PVC right now. We use that a lot. However, the recycle component of it, I really can't speak to, but I love the idea. And it would be definitely something worth talking to some of the vendors and manufacturers about, and maybe they're already doing it, and we just don't know.
Something to think about, as the recycling program sort of crashed and collapsed in the last couple of years, the swing to reimagine how the United States of America's manufacturing base is going to bring that recycling back into the manufacturing systems is a great debate, a great conversation that's taking place at very high levels in a lot of different areas. We're going to have to, as a nation, as a world, try to figure this problem out and bring recycling back into our manufacturing base. And I do know from several discussions that I've had with folks in the business that they are actively seeking solutions. But like any great change, those solutions probably won't make their way into the mainstream for maybe a decade. It'll take that long for the solutions to be designed and implemented and brought back into the manufacturing base. But I know the conversation is taking place.
So what I heard is if you are a vendor with that product, we want to hear from you.
Yes.
Next question. Come forward, sir. Please introduce yourself and ask your question.
Sure thing. Mind if I put my mask down, or do you want me to have it on?
That's fine.
Okay. Hello, my name is Michael Oh, is that too loud? Sorry. Hello, my name is Michael Ballard. I am a volunteer with Pinellas County Public Works. Oh, sorry about that. I would like to say thank you to everyone who came here today, as well as everyone on the board panel. It's nice to see everyone's work here today, specifically with improvements with our water systems. I would like to specifically thank the Mayor of Clearwater with his work with the, I believe, the smart pipe system, with the, I'm trying to find it, my apologies, specifically with the satellite idea on the, I think so, what was it, like the pipe?
Smart covers?
Smart covers,
Manholes,
thank
yeah.
you. It was that's a very innovative idea, and I believe that by having a gridlock system, that could be very influential in mainly keeping a gridlock idea on our pipes. But As well as I'd like to thank Pinellas County for their work with the golf course, specifically with Bay Point, with the parks and helping to not only see what we can do mainly with recreation, as well as our parks and mainly our water systems. I was wondering, when you were talking about the public education, would that also entail mainly yard systems or helping Florida homeowners be using less nitrogen on their yards, as well as mainly reducing stormwater runoff?
Well, thank you so much, Michael. First of all, I just wanted to thank you for your volunteer service to Pinellas County. We love our volunteers, and we really appreciate the work that you're doing for us. So thank you so much. And yes, we partner very closely with UF, the Extension Services, located at the Botanical Gardens, on Florida-friendly landscaping. And what that means is both looking at responsible practices for fertilizer and for plants that require low water usage. So less grass, more native plants can definitely help to improve both water conservation, to conserve our potable and reclaimed water resources, but also to promote that native Florida-friendly environment and ecosystem. So we partner very closely in some of those communication strategies to customers about what are some of those ways that you can implement these, still have a beautiful landscape, a beautiful yard, and less maintenance and less of a water bill. So that's what we're trying to encourage as well.
Also, you can learn more about the Be Floridian campaign at www.tbep.org and the estuary program's efforts there. We have another question online?
Yes, the next question is, please consider the important distinction between a rebate, money after repairs, and a voucher, promised money prior to repair provided that the criteria are met. Can vouchers be offered?
Could you repeat that question?
Sure. So they want to know if we can consider vouchers. We talked about a rebate program, and the person wants to know if we can offer vouchers, and they ask that you consider the important distinctions between a rebate, which is money after repairs, and a voucher, promised money prior to repair, provided that certain criteria are met.
Okay, well, I appreciate that question, and at this point, we are developing all the details of these different policy options in terms of how they would be administered. We certainly have to make sure that the repairs are done before we can issue any county funds. We do want to make sure that that is something that we need to inspect and make sure that the repairs are actually facilitated and completed. As far as the other question, was there another question in there? Okay.
No, it was just a comment about vouchers versus rebates, and then the question is it possible to offer the vouchers?
Okay. Another thing we are doing, and this is more related to the find and fix option, is we're going to be looking at proposing an option that we would actually go into targeted areas where we know that there are issues, and we would be working with those homeowners on inspecting those laterals and facilitating those repairs. So a little bit different than a rebate, more of an active approach to combine the repair into the overall capital project, since we'll already be out there making repairs on the public side of our system as well. But I appreciate the question. The voucher situation, we'll have to evaluate that further. It's a good idea, but we just want to make sure that, as if we're administering county funds, that we're doing it effectively and appropriately.
But to the questioner's point, we are cognizant that the financial impact of a lateral repair or replace can be very significant for some folks, and that will be taken into account as we move forward with the program. We have other questions in person or on the line?
Yes. So the next question is, how will developers' impact fees be revisited to include policy revisions and SSO reduction strategies?
Impact fees, developers' impact fees.
I'm not sure that the two are really totally related. How do developers' impact fees relate to SSO reduction? Impact fees really are fees that, well, I guess here's one way it's related. Impact fees are really paid to pay into the collective sewer system capacity needs. So an impact fee is, what is your impact? If I'm connecting a new home that wasn't there before, that impact fee is meant to pay for any kind of capacity improvements needed because that home is being added to the system. So I do think there is an indirect relationship as far as those capacity improvements and being able to pay for them. Does that make sense? Yep.
Yeah, and I believe the question also asked about how it is done in St. Pete, and this is just in general for fees and rates and all of the systems associated with it. We do regular annual reviews of our rates that we charge our customers and periodic reviews of fees to make sure that they're addressing the needs of our system and that we're able to continue to provide the services that are required.
That certainly is a question that comes up in St. Pete every time a crane is lifted and a new
Yes.
apartment is being designed there. So it's certainly an important question.
Next question is there a smart meter to determine if a private pipe is cracked, etc., so the owner can be notified?
Great question.
So unfortunately, there is not a smart meter. We don't have meters on the Lateral system, so we're not able to measure the exact gallonage coming out of each resident. However, what we do in St. Pete is we have partnered with our plumbing companies in the area, and they offer video inspections of the private laterals where they'll be able to go in through a clean out, and they put a small television camera into the clean out, go through the lateral all the way up, and they're able to visually identify and see any defects that exist. And that's the current process that is most commonly used.
Yeah, I'd also like to add to that although we don't meter specific individual laterals, a lot of the flow monitoring studies that we've all been doing on our sewer systems measure more of an aggregate level of inflow and infiltration into specific areas, so we can target down to specific neighborhoods. We go out and put flow meters in during dry events and during rain events, and we measure the difference, and that way we're able to tell specifically what neighborhoods are having the issues, and then we're able to go in and facilitate capital projects to address those and do more rigorous inspections. Additionally, the smart manhole covers that the city of Clearwater had mentioned have flow monitoring capabilities in those manholes. So we're actually looking at those as well at Pinellas County, where we can have real live data as a storm is occurring as to which manholes are raising in elevation as those flows are coming in, and we can use that also to identify areas where we have issues or to go out and respond to some of those areas immediately during a rain event and to mitigate any overflows before they occur.
To build on what Megan had just said, within our I&I study in Safety Harbor, we did just that with some flow monitoring, but with the results, we were able to do dye testing and smoke testing, and were able to notify residents of any breaks that we saw in their laterals through the smoke testing. We flagged them in their yards and gave them door hangers along with photos, so we were able to pinpoint exactly where those breaks might be within their yards. A lot of homeowners were very thankful that we found an issue before it actually became a problem and caused a backup in their homes.
And beyond, I know we're talking about laterals specifically, but wasn't there a shift as far as the meter reading that went to a more digital on time that helped with some of those leak detections?
Yes, absolutely. So on the drinking water side, there is a big shift. Really, it's going on in a lot of utilities, and we have a program at Pinellas County where we're going to be moving towards an advanced metering infrastructure. Current water meters are manually read every so many days to get a meter read. So we're moving towards electronic register meters. We've implemented that in about 10% of our system, and we're going to be initiating a project to do a full-scale implementation as well as a network. So what that will do, as far as the customer's interface, they'll be able to pull up their phone or have an app and be able to see immediately when there's a potential leak in their piping, or there's too much usage indicating a leak, and they'll be able to respond to that immediately. They'll also be able to track their usage a little bit more and look at what are ways they can conserve. So really leveraging technology to implement these different components and infrastructure to work closely with our customers to conserve water resources, and also, hopefully help reduce some of those bills as well.
We have time for just a couple more. Anyone else in person before we go online again? All right. We're good?
That was our final question from our online audience.
Very good. I really want to thank all of our presenters. Can we have one more round of applause for our presenters this morning? You know, when we started this partnership just a few years ago, this room was full and we had live TV coverage and the news cameras outside. This was an issue that people were very, very aware of every single day in the media and in the conversations in the public. But because of the work of the folks here on stage and all of their support teams back in the office and in the field, we've got a really good handle on this. The communication is really dramatically improved from facility to facility, county to county, county to city, city to city, and we're really headed in the right direction because of the good work of all of you and your team. So thank you very much to you all. Thanks to those that watched online and were here in person. Again, we appreciate your input and making Pinellas County a little bit better. Thank you and have a great day.